Octopuses are aliens, and this is an octopus eye. Here in The Independent, it says octopuses are aliens. There's a claim being made by a team of 33 researchers, peer-reviewed, saying that they're aliens. But that's not all. Have a look here. The other animals that also have those kind of slit eyes are horses, sheep, and cattle. So we go to ancient Anunnaki texts. Have 50 of the Hlahmu, which is Mars, heroes fetched for me. They actually ride them. So you can probably guess that they're the horses. Now, also another Sumerian Anunnaki text. Here is a debate between grain and sheep. The earth was first appeared barren without grain or sheep or goats. People went naked. They ate grass, blah, blah, blah. Later, gods created sheep and grain. In other words, the Anunnaki brought down those creatures with the slit eyes. If you're interested in learning more, my Patreon page, Our True History, has got this one here. Guardian angel. We now know what that actually means. Have a listen to this from Zecharia Sitchin.
We come to Sumer. The right word should really be Shumer. That is the Hebrew word for it. We say in English Sumer. And the word means the place of the guardians. The Egyptians, by the way, called their term for what we translate gods, with a small g. They called them Neteru, and that meant guardians. So Sumer in Sumerian was the land of the guardians.
So that's where we got guardian angels from, and angels is messengers, so the messengers were guardians of Sumer, which is where the Anunnaki was. And here in ancient translations is the word messenger. So now we know, no more pretending. Ancient humans wore sandals. That's a footprint according to this new research. Now, that doesn't make it sound too exciting, except for hunter-gatherers was around 12,000 years ago. We're talking 136,000 years ago for them to have come up with the design for sandals. Now, who was in this location, which is South Africa, around 130-odd thousand years ago? Well, it was the Anunnaki, the ones that created humans to mine for gold. So in other words, this footprint belonged to a human that was mining on behalf of the Anunnaki that also had sandals at that period in time. Makes it even more interesting is peer-reviewed papers talking about the ancient gold mines, which so there is definitely proof that there's ancient gold mines. And they're saying here, the structures are lacking a roof, this is one particular gold mine, displaying evidence of a skilled architectural sense as well as a certain regard for sanitation and drainage. Not bad for our very ancient ancestors. Breaking news, archaeologists discover the world's oldest wooden structure, and guess where it is? Africa. Guess where the Anunnaki were? Africa. However, the dates are slightly different. Anunnaki were here 450,000 years ago, would have got to Africa about 430,000 years ago. Mainstream is saying that these wooden structures are older than the Anunnaki being here. However, we also know that mainstream get their dates wrong all the time. So, was this anything to do with the Anunnaki? Well, the Anunnaki actually admitted in their ancient texts that there was a hominid species here that was as smart as humans. And I have done a video documentary on that on my Patreon page. There's many more documentaries, over 100 odd, that will last a whole week for you to watch if you're interested. Our True History on Patreon, but it's very well worth watching because it shows you how intelligent these ancient hominids were, so they could have made these boxes. Zecharia Sitchin, the gentleman that wrote about the Anunnaki creating us humans, amazing guy. However, I think he's wrong here, and let me know your thoughts. So here he describes the Anunnaki as a race name called Nephilim.
Eventually he died because they too, the Nephilim, there are tales of how they died.
So he's talking about the actual Anunnaki as Nephilim. Now, when you type in Nephilim, you can't find it. The first mention of Nephilim is actually when the young Anunnaki, the Ojiji, came down and stole women, which then had children, which in my opinion is the children, the ones that had gigantism, were the Nephilim, so not the Anunnaki. Now, obviously, going back to this where you type in Nephilim, trying to find ancient wording for it, but if you type in the word gods or God, you find it everywhere. In other words, the race name, I believe, is God for the Anunnaki or gods, just as humans, but not Nephilim. So what's your thoughts? God was with us up until about 1,000 years ago and then disappeared. Now this is King David being told to build a temple for the Ark of the Covenant, and that's because the Ark of the Covenant was some sort of power device and the priests etc. would get radiation poisoning, and that's why they had to keep changing the different priests, and only the priests were allowed to carry it. So this is 1,000 years ago, so that means Marduk, more than likely, who was the god at the time, which is why go watch my previous videos on who Jesus' father was. So that would explain why King David was told to build a particular type of building to house this, because obviously it lets off the radiation. So that's my take on it. What's your thoughts? So this person's basically saying that God, blah, blah, blah. So I said, would you like to see proof? And he didn't reply, but he did reply to other things that other people had said. So I'm now making a video to show this person, here is the evidence that you didn't want to bother watching when I told you, would you like to see the evidence? Here it is, it's on YouTube. You can read the title, Proof Anunnaki were here. It's under Our True History. As with most people, when they say that I'm wrong and I point them to this evidence, they don't bother. So I will show the video once this person writes back with evidence saying where my evidence is wrong on this video. There's tens of thousands that's watched it on TikTok. There's 916 at the moment on YouTube. No one's told me I'm wrong. So I will look forward to this person giving evidence to show my evidence in this video is wrong. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't chicken. Your skin colour and features are from where you originate. And that's a new study here saying that back in the day, us humans went round and bred with different types of hominids. And those different types of hominids had different coloured features and skin colour and everything else and hair. And basically it goes on to say here that there was many different types of hominids that we all bred with. And in fact, the hominids bred with the other hominids here. And this study shows that during the period that we were around, 300,000 years ago, which is actually matches the Anunnaki's texts, it says that these other species were around, and there's many more actually that they don't even know. And I say that because there's an island off of India that has unknown DNA in it. So there you go, that is why you look like the way you do, because of hominids. So the story goes, this is the guy that said I was making assumptions on one of my TikTok videos about the Anunnaki being the gods in the Bible. So I gave him a link to go and watch my documentary where I show evidence. And I said to him, go watch that and come back with your evidence to prove my evidence is wrong, because only silly people would come back and say you're wrong without actually having evidence, because I could say that about absolutely anything in the whole wide world. So you need evidence to prove that the person's wrong. So of course this person's come back and not given me any evidence. To be honest, I don't think he probably watched my video, because even if he did, he wouldn't have the evidence to prove my evidence wrong. So unfortunately, my evidence still stands and I'm still correct. And if anyone wants to go watch the video, it's called The Lost Book of Our True History. It's on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Just scroll down on the homepage and click here where it says click here. Breaking news, Atlantis has been discovered by me. I've already done a video on my TikTok, which is, you can just go watch it, it's on the pinned page. And I say that the location is Heraclean. Now, I give so many reasons why, far more than anyone else can do for any other location. So mine's obviously the best research. Now, this new temple that's been found that belongs to Aphrodite is also in Heraclean, which, if you know anything about Aphrodite, she was also Ishtar and Inanna, who was an Anunnaki. Now, Thoth's temple is also in Heraclean, that's also sunk in Concentric Circle City. So everything matches that my research is spot on compared to absolutely everybody else's. Feel free to follow without sounding big-headed. I know I do, but hey, when you've spent 40 years researching and you're the only one that does it, I know. Stop talking. You're making people go away now. I'm sorry. Just thought I'd let everyone know that when you put a comment and then a laughing face at the end of it, but the comment has no factual context, then it normally means you lose. So in this case, this person's lost against me because they can't prove my evidence wrong, so they wrote that. I get that a lot because people obviously don't want to believe that aliens existed. They want to believe that there was an almighty being that had a beard and decided to sit down a lot, which is fine. But, you know, when you put the laughing face, just letting everyone know, when you put a laughing face and you haven't given any facts, you've lost. And that's a debate. It's like kind of chatting with someone in the street and then going, you know that they've lost the argument. So unfortunately to this person, you've lost the argument because you can't give me any evidence when my evidence is wrong, in which case my evidence still stands. I rest my case. US rocket launch ripped a hole in Earth's ionosphere. This is the Space Force that has apparently only just been formed, really, but let's be honest, it's been going for a lot longer than we are aware of. And this is called the Victus Nox mission, and it created a problem in the ionosphere. Now, what's also interesting is this was launched on the 14th of September 23, is that this was done in a very short space of time, 27 hours. They actually made a rocket to go up. So in other words, they normally have like months and months of preparation. This was just done in 27 hours. This is done to prove that they can, at a moment's notice, send up a rocket to help with fighting anyone, space dominance, really. I know there's people that say they could be sending up directed energy weapons to suddenly attack people quickly, or places or islands. So I did a video about Mars and the creatures on Mars as written in the most ancient texts. And this gentleman put laughing faces. So I wrote back saying, what's so funny? And then the person wrote, there is no such thing as planets, meaning the video that I was talking about Mars, he's saying that there's no such thing as Mars. So I'm curious to what you guys think. You know, I know obviously we're kind of standing on a planet, and that's called a planet, so straight away there's one planet. But what do you think? I mean, are people nowadays just so brainwashed by YouTubers that they believe absolutely anything without even getting research or looking up in the sky with a telescope? Or, I mean, if it's not a planet, what is it? What are we standing on? Come on, guys, help me out here. Let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Is he right? You're going to love this. Poseidon, Enki, Neptune, all one and the same person. Enki being the Anunnaki that created many different things. However, here as Poseidon, he entered a contest with the goddess Athena for dominion over Athens and produced the very first horse as a gift. Meaning there was no horses here. Not the type that he produced as a gift. Now, if you look here in the ancient translations, they're talking about Lachmu heroes, which was a horse on Mars, which means he brought it down. Enki brought it down. And if you want to know even more, on my Patreon page, I've got many documentaries, but this one is Alien Life on Mars, What Type and When Did They Die Out? A little documentary there. So if you're interested in finding out more about horses and why they have the slit eyes, just watch some of my recent TikTok videos and you'll see all the evidence you ever need. Really good question, thanks. I don't really look for theories. The answers sort of come as I do more and more research. So I don't actually look for theories. But once a theory is created because I found evidence, then I look at both angles, you know, debunking it or proving it right. So I don't sort of sit there and go, do you know what, I think this might be the case. It's only when I get the evidence that I will then follow it through. So I don't actually have any theories that are just sitting there thinking, oh, if only I could find the evidence. I normally find the evidence first and then the theory fleshes out or falls flat on its face. So I hope that makes sense. Petrified giants around the world are real, unless you take a couple of seconds to think logically. Now, these supposedly are petrified giants that are turned into rock. Now, what's interesting is we don't see the other angles. We only see still images. And this one's obviously a portrait, which means someone's took it with a phone. You don't see videos of these. And the reason for that is because if you go from a different angle, it looks absolutely nothing like what we're looking at here. So that's pretty much your answer. Unless you show me videos where you walk around and that actually still looks the same on the other side, then you got there's a thing called pareidolia. I'm terrible at pronunciations. That basically says that we look for things that's patterns that are probably not really there. So just next time someone says they're real, just ask for the video where they circle the area. Thought I'd reply here, it's easier. So this gentleman has said that Thoth was a reptilian, and I asked for evidence because doing 40 years of research, I've not come across that Thoth was a reptilian. So this person pointed me to some YouTuber, and I said, no, you must have the evidence, because obviously the YouTuber's got the evidence, show me the evidence. And he kept pointing me back to this YouTuber. So he's then saying that whatever I've learned is from mainstream and therefore I'm wrong. However, this person's obviously not watched any of my videos because I'm the one that points out where mainstream's wrong. So I'm just letting this person know that I don't believe mainstream. So if I don't believe mainstream and I kind of have the evidence to say that Thoth wasn't a lizard or reptilian, and that's basically from the carvings on actual walls in Egypt. So if you could give me the evidence that he was a reptilian, please. Breaking news, unless you've already been following me and you know this a long time ago. We carry DNA from extinct cousins like Neanderthal, scientists now revealing their gene. Now, if you read here, it says, even though only 100,000 Neanderthals ever lived, half of the Neanderthal genome is still around. How the hell did they know 100,000? Have they absolutely excavated absolutely everywhere to found every single bone? This is why you should follow me, guys. Also, it goes on here to say that Neanderthal DNA has been linked to autoimmune diseases like Graves, etc. And when Homo sapiens came out of Africa, they had no immunity. And that's because they're part Anunnaki, which makes a lot of sense. So if you want to know more, feel free to go to my website. All my videos are there, outtruehistory.co.uk, and you'll get all the answers. I've already said everything that they've said, I've said a long time before, and they're all basically proving me right. Feel free to watch. I am genuinely lost for words here. This person here, Megan Lewis, who apparently has an Eastern PhD student, is on a podcast or on a video called Problems with Zecharia Sitchin and the Ancient Alien Theory. Okay, so I'm going to play a bit of this. Now, this isn't me saying what she says, this is her.
With that kind of material. And one overarching problem that you do have to keep in mind is that a lot of the time these theories are rooted, either consciously or otherwise, they're rooted in a kind of white supremacy, racist mindset.
So what she's actually saying is people like myself who have evidence for the ancient astronaut theory, it's not even a theory, it's evidence now. Well, you just heard what she said. It gets worse.
General sense is that white people didn't make these structures. If you think specifically about things like the pyramids, the ziggurats of Mesopotamia and of Mesoamerica, white people didn't do them. White people weren't doing these kinds of amazing things at a comparable time period. Therefore, indigenous people, brown people, black people could not have done these at the time that archaeology says they did.
So she's saying that people, again, like myself and other researchers, are saying because white people didn't do it, black people certainly couldn't do it. That's according to her. Wait for it.
So it must have been aliens. Okay. Completely ignoring the fact that, especially if you look at Egypt, we have records of how, like specifically instructions of how they made the pyramids. We have like super clear records of that kind of thing. We know.
Okay, that is the key. That's how. I can't use bad words because TikTok will. We have super clear records of how they built the pyramids. There is no records of how they built the pyramids. This is why I'm lost for words. So you've got someone coming on here trying to debunk everyone else, and the most basic of information is that no one knows how they built the pyramids. No one. There is nothing whatsoever to say how they built the pyramids, and she just said there's clear instructions. And so this is what we're up against. This is why people should follow me and nothing like people that have PhDs. This is why I know more than her, and she's got a PhD. You guys know more than her. So please, just enough. Follow me. It's a lot easier. I don't have to keep debunking people then.
What's interesting about this is it's encased in alluvial stone. You could make the...
Okay, so this gentleman's saying that it's possible that that hammer was millions of years old, if not hundreds of thousands of years old. My problem with all of this, I'm not debunking it, is we know nothing about things. So we assume that fossilization or petrification happens because of X, Y, Z. However, did you know that we can actually create tiny bubbles hotter than the sun? You probably didn't know that, but we can. So the point is, what we know today, we may find out something different tomorrow. So just because we assume right now that the petrification or the crystallization or whatever happened to the hammer inside the rock happened over millions of years, there may be processes that we are not aware of. We're not the smartest things in the universe. So just remember that. Redheads were gods. The more I look into the Anunnaki, the more I'm coming across things that suggest that they weren't all pale skin and blonde hair, but some with red or auburn hair. Have a listen to this. This is to do with the Incas.
There is a curious folk legend surrounding the origin of this fortress. It is said to have been built by a divine race of light-skinned, auburn-haired descendants of the god Verachochus.
And also, if you look at the elongated skulls, they seem to have auburn hair. And also on my video, Who the Real Father of Jesus Was, I actually go into the fact that I think Marduk may have had red hair, and Jesus is an offspring off of Marduk, possibly hybrid using genetics. That's on my Patreon page if anyone wants to go and watch it. patreon.com/OurTrueHistory. I'm possibly the best researcher in the world, is what someone said. And the reason why they probably said that is because the videos that I do, I actually show evidence, and I show things that no one else has ever come close to working out. And here's just some of them. I have connected the Book of Enoch ancient stone tablets to Stonehenge. I have shown who and what the carvings are of what looked like a helicopter and a spacecraft in Abydos in Egypt with evidence. I have given the answer to who was at Atlantis and what happened to it when no one else has done. I've given the only decent explanation of why the Nazca 28-kilometre mountain range had the top sliced off. The list goes on. I have created a 23-minute documentary on who Jesus' father was. No one's debunked any of this, by the way. I'm the only person that's worked out the 10 plagues of Egypt actually started in Israel with evidence. You guys have asked me to ask this lady who says that we actually have evidence of how they built the pyramids.
Completely ignoring the fact that, especially if you look at Egypt, we have records of how, like specifically instructions of how they made the pyramids. We have like super clear records of that kind of thing.
Yeah, one of the ancient wonders of the world that we don't have evidence of. So anyway, this is her website with her husband. Here it says, Megan Lewis is a trained Assyriologist, meaning that she knows more about ancient Mesopotamia than anyone but one true person truly should. Our aim is to provide reliable, accurate information. So I've sent her, just about to send a message to her saying, where the hell is this information saying how pyramids were built? Because literally no one knows except for her. So I'm just about to send it now. Sent. So there we go. Let's see if we can get the answers to something. Breaking news, more evidence that an advanced alien race actually created humans. So here they found a tablet 1,000 years older than Pythagoras. What's interesting is, yes, you guessed it, Pythagoras' theory, however you pronounce it, is on this tablet that's 1,000 years older. And this was from Babylon. So basically, we now have even more evidence that the ancient past is smarter than we are now, and yet scientists and archaeologists still basically go on and say, no, it was us, we were smart back then. Why can't they just look for a split second and say, hang on a minute, yes, the Anunnaki were real? Because guess where it is? Babylon. Guess where the Anunnaki were? Middle East, Babylon, Mesopotamia. So it all makes sense. One day they will catch on and start following me and learn our true history. This text is regarding a video that I'd done about the lady in the background who said that we know how to build the pyramids because we was left explicit instructions on how to build the pyramids. However, she doesn't obviously know what she was talking about, but this lady has come to the rescue and said go to Live Science and look at the ancient logbook. Now, I have actually done a video on the ancient logbook way back and explained exactly what it was, but let's look at what Live Science says. Basically, Live Science is, which, trust me, I don't like Live Science. If you want misinformation, there you go. But basically it goes on to say that the blocks that were being moved down the Nile in the actual papyrus are for the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, the Khufu's. However, there was no mention whatsoever in the papyrus of the word pyramid. So all it was a logbook way later after the pyramids were built saying that they was just moving blocks. That's all it was. Looky here, the Egyptians were so smart they built the pyramids, or did they? Let's see how smart they were. So in order to mummify someone, it took 40 days to a few months. And in the process, they would remove various parts, lungs, brain, etc. So when someone dies, they mummified them so that they would be put in a tomb so that the spirit or soul of that person would leave the tomb and go off to the afterlife. The problem is, why didn't the spirit leave straight away when the person died, not wait 2 months? So in other words, a spirit would say, you know, although I'm connected with the brain and the brain's now been removed, I'm still going to hang around. I'm going to wait until it's totally embalmed and stuck inside a box with a lid on, and then I'm going to move from there to the afterlife. Is it me or is this silly? I have to show you this, it's funny. So this person here has said that the Anunnaki were dark skinned and posted on my video on YouTube where I'm basically saying that they were white skinned. It's funny, trust me. So this person's wrote, you are so sure of yourself that it actually makes you ignorant. Okay, so I'm so sure of myself because I'm obviously pointing out evidence, etc. So anyway, you go down to the bottom here and this person's wrote, I'm never wrong. So this is a challenge. So which one's ignorant? The one that says I'm never wrong, or the one that shows evidence? Anyway, what he's done, I'm guessing it's a he, has gone through looking at statues and actually just assumed that an alien race that are pale skinned because they're further away from the sun couldn't come here. He actually says, and land in the Middle East because it would be too hot for them. That's where the gold was. If you want them to go to England, they would have just sat here and done nothing. Think. Source. Trust me, bro. I get a couple of people every now and then saying my evidence is from nowhere. However, look at this. This is a recent study saying that the Earth's inner core is now soft. In other words, not like it used to be, which was a solid core. Now, this is mainstream. So, source. Trust me. Source. Trust me. However, I have been saying that Earth's core, it could be an ice core instead of molten iron, or even solid iron as they used to say. And here it says Earth's inner core could contain weird superionic water. Again, proving once again, source, trust me bro, that I'm actually pretty good at what I say. So if you actually want to actually learn something, maybe go to my website or follow me on TikTok, ourtruehistory.co.uk. You won't be disappointed. Genuine pixie skeleton. Yes, this was in the Charlotte Observer newspaper. And although it's today's date, the actual date it was last edited, the article was February 27th, 2019. Now, according to the people that posted the original post, so in other words, the Charlotte Observers actually took someone else's post, and on that original post it says scientific test has been done and concluded the bones are indeed real. However, if you go down to read here, now this is what's interesting, is most posts have drawn thousands of shares and comments talking about the skeleton, obviously. Fact is, it's a fake story. That's it. That's their evidence. This is a newspaper, people. This is why you should be listening and following me. This is a newspaper. Where's the evidence that it's a fake story? Where's the link to a fake story? How do you prove that it was a fake story? There's no evidence, no link, no nothing. Blind faith. So this person here is telling me that the Bible's correct and that my ancient tablets that predate the Bible, that the Bible copied from, he's not even going to look into. So it's not a debate. It's just, I have to go by what he says, even though I, as it says there, gave him a long list of evidence he's not looked into, obviously. So what the problem is here is he's saying that because I mentioned gods as plural, because obviously the Anunnaki were gods, plural, I pointed out Genesis 1:26, which is closest, the Genesis section is closest to the oldest tablets that we have. And then obviously down the line you've got Book of Job and all that kind of stuff that have been changed, whatever. So the Genesis is the closest. And obviously Elohim is plural for gods. And the God of Israel means, that's in the Bible, means that there's more than one God. I give up. Just following on from the last video where this person was kicked on about scriptures. So this person asked me to show a passage talking about something in the Bible. And I've tried to explain that if I talk about the Bible, then I'm already starting off on an error, because the Bible is a copy, that's a fact, no one disputes that, of older texts. So this person's asking me to quote from the Bible to prove this person right, which is illogical because the Bible's already in error. So I'm saying to this person, hey, I can show you the original text that the Bible copied from, which isn't in error compared to the 144 inconsistencies in the Bible. I can show you the hundreds of thousands of tablets, 2 million in total, where they're talking about various things that's in the Bible. So I'm just explaining to this person, stop being and start opening your eyes. Breaking news. Long lost Egyptian tomb found with a 4,400-year-old mummy inside. And of course it's inside a pyramid, because if you scroll down here there's the image of a pyramid. But it's not, because we all know that pyramids were not tombs. Turns out it's actually between the pyramid fields in Abusir and Saqqara. Now, it was actually raided, but there were still some pots and pans, pots type things left inside. But the difference is it had a sarcophagus. And if you want to know what the difference is between a sarcophagus, a coffin was usually made of wood and was meant to be buried in the ground, or in the case of wealthy person, was placed inside a sarcophagus. And a sarcophagus was typically made from stone and was not meant to be buried in the ground. So now you know the difference between sarcophagus and coffin. See, you learn stuff here. Follow, like, subscribe, send money, anything else.
Right, just squat it down.
How the pyramids were built, everybody, this person's going to tell us, because I spent 2 weeks talking to this person who keeps saying that the evidence is out there, how the Egyptians, yes, that's what he says, built the pyramids. So we're going to have the actual evidence of the seventh wonder of the ancient world. It's called a wonder because no one knows how it was built. That's why it's a wonder. But anyway, so this person I've been talking to for 2 weeks keeps giving me just basically telling me to Google it. And of course I've been doing research for 40 years. I've never found any research on how the pyramids were built. Otherwise there wouldn't be sites trying to guess how they built the pyramids if this person has the evidence. So once again, for 2 weeks I've been up begging, once again, just give me the evidence that you have. Please don't point me to a YouTube or Google link. Just actually give me the evidence. Obviously, you have it, apparently. No one else seems to. So, please, I do get bored of all this. Someone help me.
Moses is not the real name. That's the made-up name. It really was Pharaoh Akhenaten, who was...
I struggle with this because Billy says that Akhenaten worshipped Amun-Ra. As far as I'm aware, he worshipped Aten. The other problem we've got is Moses was found in a basket, which means we don't know who his parents are. However, Akhenaten, if he was Moses, we actually know who his parents are. They're in the British Museum, and his grandparents are in the British Museum. All of his lineage from his great-grandparent has elongated skulls, including Tutankhamun, which was his son, and Nefertiti, his wife. So how he got the conclusion that Akhenaten was Moses, I would really, really like to see that. If you could point that to me, Billy, if you're watching, thanks. Conditioned. So this person's talking about God, and I've already mentioned to look certain places for evidence, such as the evidence that Enki told Noah, the evidence of the Anunnaki creating humans, the evidence of Enki saying having the seventh day off, the evidence of Nibiru, the evidence of Adapa or Adam going to Nibiru, and so on and so on. This person's not really interested in that because all they keep coming back with is scriptures this, scriptures that, conditioned. So this is the problem. They're saying that I should be looking at the Bible. I have looked at the Bible, and Genesis 1:26, plural, Elohim, plural. So this person hasn't actually done their homework properly by looking everywhere else. And unfortunately, now this person is trying to argue with me, who's done both sides of the argument, Bible and Anunnaki, and came to my own conclusions. But this person's very, very conditioned. It's sad. I'm going to tell you how they built the pyramids and how they built other ancient sites that we can't recreate today. So, the Temple of Luxor has quartz in it. The Sun Temple of Konark has quartz in it. Petra in Jordan has quartz in it. These are sites that we can't recreate today because they are so massive and heavy. But they've all got quartz in it, right down to the Great Pyramids of Menre in Sudan. The list just goes on and on. Angkor Wat's got quartz in it, and quartz is something that you can levitate using a particular type of levitation. It's hard, but it can be done. The Taj Mahal, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, Coral Castle, Machu Picchu, the Great Wall of China contains quartz. You wonder how they moved them? Are you really saying it was ancient people all around the world that we can't recreate today? Quartz is the key. So this person's mentioned that Enki's son, Thoth, which would have been Ningazida, this is what this person's saying, I'm going to leave my comments till the end, was a reptilian and Enki wasn't. So you can figure that one out yourself. So I asked for evidence of that, obviously, as I do, because it's not true from my evidence, and this person's told me to go follow someone else, but the point is, you can tell me where the evidence is because you've followed that person clearly to be able to point me to that person. So instead of going to tell me to point to someone, I can tell you where everything is that I tell you on my videos. I don't need someone else to go and tell you. So you tell me from what you learn where the evidence is for Thoth being the son of Enki and being a reptilian compared to Enki that's not. When you realise you can't give me the evidence, feel free to follow and subscribe and like and make me tea. I'll tell you why the Egyptians did not build the pyramids. This is a list of things that they actually wrote about, true things in ancient texts, religious beliefs, historical events, myths, but these were actually things that happened elsewhere. Mainstream will call them myths. Administrative records, legal matters, you'll get the point in a second. Wisdom, literature, mathematical, medical, hieroglyphic inscriptions, love poetry, agriculture, military campaigns, construction, burial practices, daily life activities, and that includes breakfast. You're starting to think, hang on a minute, where's the mention of the pyramids? Bearing in mind there's so many pyramids out there in Egypt alone, let alone around the world. And of course there's no evidence whatsoever of how the pyramids were built. And yet we've got everything that you can think of that they wrote about except for the pyramids, and that's because the pyramids were built before they were able to read and write, and that's because someone else built the pyramids around the world. Another racist person, I'm getting fed up of it. Just enough now, stop. You're never going to win in history debate about who built the pyramids. You're never going to prove that black people built the pyramids because there is no evidence whatsoever of who built the pyramids. None. Thousands of pyramids around the world, so you would have, if you're saying that black people have to build the pyramids, then they would have had to have gone to Italy. There's pyramids in Italy. They would have had to have gone everywhere. So please stop trying to make it sound like black people have to build the pyramids, 1,000 pyramids around the world. So the only reference to the pyramids is in the Lost Book of Enki, which was translated to tablets by Zachariah Sitchin, who says that it was one of the Anunnaki that built it. So there's no evidence whatsoever. So please stop trying to make it seem like we're racist when there's no evidence. And I go by evidence. It's kind of getting tedious now with this racism stuff. Stop it. Thank you.
Enuma Elish, and another one known as the Adapa Tale of Adapa. And
this gentleman in the full video, if you want to watch it, says that before humans there were these towels. One of them was the Enuma Elish, which is correct, and the other one was the Adapatals. Unfortunately, this person has got it kind of mixed up, because the Adapatals is referring to Adam. Adam, as in Adam and Eve, was an offspring off of Enki and a human woman. Therefore, it wasn't when only the gods were here, it was when later on when there was humans and gods. So when he said the Adapatals was only when the gods were here, he's wrong. I don't like knocking people down, but obviously Adam was an offspring off of humans that they'd already created 2,000 years before. So, yeah, sorry, I don't like doing this, but I just want the correct information out there. A lot of people actually fall into this same trap that this person's done. So this person's commenting on a video I done about the fact that all the ancient monuments and buildings around the world, there's over 1,000 pyramids, let alone all the other structures, all have quartz in the blocks. And quartz has a resonance frequency. So I suggested that they could have been levitated to build the structures using the sound frequency. Anyway, this person's fell for the age-old trick. He's wrote, let's see you levitate a blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I say blah, blah, blah is because 100 years ago, if I said, oh, I could move 500 people across the ocean in an aeroplane, people will say, go on then, go on, try it. But what I'm trying to say is technology moves on, and we're talking about an alien race that built these ancient structures. So stop falling for it and start thinking. Adam and Eve versus Adamu. So some people still get mixed up with the Adamu, saying Adamu is actually Adam. It's not. Adamu was an earthling. In other words, it's the first, as a translation, it's the first human that was created by the Anunnaki over in South Africa 300,000 years ago, using a Neanderthal and their own essence as written in their tablets. So that is Adamu. Then you've got Adapa and Titi, which were the offspring off of Enki and one of the descendants of the original Adamu, in other words, a human or Homo sapien. So he had relationships with two women, and they gave birth to two children, a boy and girl, Adapa and Titi, Adam and Eve. And that's why we have their story, because Enki was a prince and wrote it all down, as opposed to the poor people over in South Africa. They weren't his direct relationship, so therefore that he... I have just been told the reason these aliens are here, these little ones, is an experiment on humans. And the experiment... Hang on one sec, I'm just going to yawn, sorry. Sorry, I couldn't help yawning. Apologies for that. I won't yawn again. Anyway, the experiment is to see whether or not people yawn when someone else yawns. Please let me know if you yawned while I was yawning.
Aliens were originated from an alternative universe that is 1 trillion years old.
They go on to say a hell of a lot more about the Dracos. If you've got the evidence, because you must have the evidence to put these sort of videos out, please show me where the evidence is for this. I would love to see. One of the many UFO pictures that the Swiss-born Billy Meyer has taken. He took those back in the 70s, but he has been in constant contact with the Palladians, according to him, for a very, very long time. Now, he's the person that actually had that picture there, I want to believe, that was in X-Files, and they kind of nicked his picture, and then he sued them, and won, in fact, so they had to keep changing it, as you see, to stop that. But Billy Meyer has actually wrote books. I'm getting to an amazing point, you'll find out in a sec. And Billy Meyer's worth is 5 million, not bad for having pictures of alien ships. Now, I have done a video on Billy Meyer on my Patreon page, in fact 2, this is part 2 there. And I will show you in the next video on TikTok a snippet of what's in this, where no one else has picked up on anything that I've picked up on. So I'm going to show you that on the next TikTok video about Billy Meyer. So keep watching. So this person's basically saying that God, blah, blah, blah. So I said, would you like to see proof? And he didn't reply, but he did reply to other things that other people had said. So I'm now making a video to show this person, here is the evidence that you didn't want to bother watching when I told you, would you like to see the evidence? Here it is, it's on YouTube. You can read the title, Proof Anunnaki Were Here. It's under Our True History. As with most people, when they say that I'm wrong and I point them to this evidence, they don't bother. So I will show the video once this person writes back with evidence saying where my evidence is wrong on this video. There's tens of thousands that's watched it on TikTok. There's 916 at the moment on YouTube. No one's told me I'm wrong. So I will look forward to this person giving evidence to show my evidence in this video is wrong. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't chicken. UFO on a String by Billy Meyer. But what no one else has seen, which I only noticed when I was doing this documentary that's on my Patreon page, is if you have a look down the bottom here, you'll see that this whole thing is a set, and there's someone, look, see that? Someone's actually head is behind this set, film set. So basically he's built a model so that he could control this UFO from a distance, so to make it look higher when really it's actually all very, very small. No one else has noticed that, and obviously you can clearly see it's on string. So this is rare footage that Billy had shot, but basically that's how you make, if you watch my previous video, that's how you make $5 million by faking things. And this guy's obviously just made a set. And if you're interested in the documentary that I've done 2 parts on my Patreon page, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/OurTrueHistory, and there's over 100 odd videos there. This is a reply to a post I done on who built the pyramids, and someone had said that the Egyptians built it, and I asked for evidence, and of course they haven't gave me any evidence. However, this person's joined in and sent me a link to show that it's possible to move blocks on sand that's wet. Possible. So there's no evidence there, and unfortunately this person has no idea what evidence is, otherwise they wouldn't have sent me a link to that. Also, there's 1,000 pyramids around the planet. So is this person trying to say that all Egyptians built the pyramids all over the planet? Probably not. And also, in Egypt at the time, the trees were soft. There wasn't enough trees to be able to move the 2.3 million blocks. So, yes, I kind of do know better than you. And also, you've put the laughing face, which means I win the argument anyway. You really got to start learning stuff. Sorry. So I'm just doing another video on this woman. Don't worry, it's not the same clips as before. But listen to this.
Which is very tricky. And it means that when academics are approached with alien theories, they can obviously debunk most of it. But then, at least when I do it, there are a couple of things I'm like, look, I know this isn't right. I can't right now present you with evidence for why it's not right. Give me some time, I'll go away, find something. But then the responses are, well, you can't prove me wrong right here, right now, therefore I'm right.
So basically she's starting from the position of that the person that she's talking about, even though she says something's not quite right, she's starting from the position of I'm going to debunk anyone regardless of whether it's correct or not. Whereas when I do my research, I look at the research and whatever the answers are is what the answers are. But she's just literally admitted that she's happy to deliberately try and debunk instead of actually looking at the evidence. I would love to see any evidence that the Egyptians built the pyramids, any evidence whatsoever, including these hieroglyphics that you are mentioning, which I've never seen and no one else has. Once you realise you can't find them, feel free to say sorry and follow me. Aliens created humans. This is probably the best evidence you'll ever get. So this guy is called Irvin Finkel. He's the head curator of the British Museum. He reads the ancient tablets. He's asked in this interview whether or not he believes the Anunnaki aliens that's in the tablets that he reads, that he gets paid to read, are actually not only real but real aliens. So let's see what he says.
Okay, and then one was, who are the Anunnaki and why are they not ancient aliens?
The Anunnaki are a group of 600 gods. They're gods. And they're well known. They exist in texts. They often get mentioned. There are 2 groups, the Anunnaki and the Eygpt, and they move above and below.
He's really struggling here. Now he's going above and below, in other words, up into space and back. He's struggling, and I'll tell you why he's struggling in a second.
And they have various roles to play, but they are among the other deities of ancient Mesopotamia. How anybody tied that in with aliens?
So hang on a minute. He's just admit they go up and down. I'll just play that bit again for you. This is the most... So he doesn't deny their myths. He doesn't say they're myths. Doesn't deny anything like that. So let's just listen to this again. It's really important how he struggles. Because I'll tell you why in a second, because he's not allowed.
They often get mentioned. There are two groups, the Anunnaki and the Eygpt, and they move above and below, and they have various roles to play, but they are...
above and below. So they're not myths. You tell me anyone that can go above.
Are among the other deities of ancient Mesopotamia. How anybody tied that in with aliens?
You just admitted that they go up. You just admitted they go up into space. I know you didn't use the words heaven or space, but we've got the actual tablets that you translated that basically say they go up and down, and you still not said they're myths.
I have no idea. But I should think anything that has the word Anunnaki in should be handled with a very long pair of tweezers until you get clearance from somebody who knows about cuneiform, who can tell within 2 minutes whether it's about something worth reading or whether it's absolute twaddle.
Okay, so this is him now mentioning that he's got a tablet that Enki tells Noah. So if he's not fictitious, if this is all real, then this tablet is also real.
I had to read his tablet when it turned out the following thing, because the god Enki, who had discovered that the world was going to be destroyed, decided it wasn't a good matter and that he picked on some human being to build.
So we've actually got all the text that he's referring to there. So he's now not saying they're myths. Now, if you look where he works at the British Museum. Now, all of these, this is just me typing in the word Enlil, and there's 441 results for Enlil. Enlil being the main god, the god of Israel, if you all know your history. So as you can see here, this is what he gets paid to look after and read, etc. Enlil. Now, there's a hell of a lot of stuff here, including images as well as carving statues, etc. of Enlil, and a temple, by the way. And, you know, obviously there's thousands of texts as well that's not shown here. So he's real, and he still didn't say they were myths. So let's just look who funds the British Museum, because that's how it goes by. It's the Rockefeller Foundation. Pretty much supports the British Museum. So if this guy said that they were aliens, he would be out of a job. And the reason for that is because the Rockefellers, if you watch any of my videos, you realise how strong they are at debunking aliens, giants, anything like that. So much so that apparently there was a court case to do with the Smithsonian's, which is pretty much run by the Rockefellers, back in 1902. Now, I know some people say it's not true, but obviously the people that saying it's not true are the Smithsonian. Come on. So, I think his answer's there. He knows. He knows exactly what he's saying. But if he said it, the whole world would be in uproar, because he's literally saying that, forget God, the Anunnaki were here. And obviously I've done that amazing video. If you want to know, watch my previous videos to find the one that shows the evidence that the Anunnaki were aliens. It's on my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. Scroll down. Let me just type that in now, just to show you, because I know there's people out there that say, I want to see evidence. So ourtruehistory.co.uk. Go down to where it says, here is a link on the homepage, just over the 34 minutes. Now, there's a lot more than that. There's hours worth of evidence. But 34 minutes you can watch here. The rest is on my Patreon page. But 34 will show you that the God in the Bible were the Anunnaki. So I think with his evidence there, and I know you're going to say, no, it's not evidence. When someone stutters and literally admits that they were real by saying they go up and down, and then says, how does anyone think that they're aliens? He's just said they go up and down. I can't go up and down. I rest my case. Amazing new chambers found inside a pyramid. These are hidden, and apparently, according to this expert Egyptologist, they're probably burial objects inside for the royal rulers. However, misinformation. Do not trust any Egyptologist or any archaeologist anymore, because no pyramid has ever had any of these burial objects inside, because they were not tombs. So just to prove my point of how misinformation is, I wrote on ChatGPT, list any burial items found in a pyramid. Now we know ChatGPT is very mainstream. So it said all of these things. I know none of these have got inside pyramids. So then I wrote, you said offerings and treasures, name one pyramid. And then it said Tutankhamun's. And then I wrote, Tutankhamun was not in a pyramid. Why are you basically lying? And it said, you're right. So follow me, because I won't lie to you. Not like these.
When was Noah born? Whoa! Noah was born 69.
So this person's saying that Enoch never met Noah because Noah wasn't born until after Enoch had passed. Now my question to this person is, are you referring to Noah as in the name Noah, or are you actually referring to the person? Because he was also known as Atrahasis, he was also known as Upanishtam and Zazudra. So are you just looking where the words Noah comes into it? Because if you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, Upanishtam, who was Noah, lived a lot longer but had a different name. So I'm just asking this person, which reference is he going by? Sometimes it's just too easy. So this person was watching my video where Ivan Finkel was saying that the Anunnaki were deities, gods. And this person then wrote, the word God comes from German. Now, German wasn't around when the Anunnaki were around, so I asked him, where did he get this information from? And he pointed me to Wikipedia. So I said, look, I can show you evidence that the word God exists way before German, which was only the 6th century there for the word God. Here we go. This is translations of the oldest known tablets that predate German. And as you can see, the word God and goddesses, because it's the Anunnaki's race name. So this is why I say it's too easy. You know, you have to get up early to try and beat me. And so regardless of what they're saying, this is the translation of the word gods, not a German word. I rest my case. Brace yourselves, everybody, because mainstream's at it again. And here it says solar storm could wipe out the internet for up to months. Now, if you look down at all these same companies that's owned by the same companies, you'll see that the same thing is said, that the internet. Now, interestingly, they don't mention phone lines or power grids, only the internet. Now, let's see what someone else with expert opinions would say. So this is a news article from the Hindu Times, and it's basically saying, do not believe mainstream. Mainstream is saying that word there. So this is their expert opinion saying it's what we're reading. Now, if that's not true, then it means someone's going to be switching a switch to kill our internet, not phone lines or power. So why would there be anyone wanting to switch us off to stop talking to each other? Crystal skulls are fake. That's according to the Smithsonian, and if you know anything about the Smithsonian, you know that everything that they say take the opposite. In other words, they're real. So this here article is talking about one of the crystal skulls that they have in their collection, and they say here that someone in the 90s investigated it and found it was definitely fake because it was used making modern jewellery and tools. However, the article actually then goes on to say that the actual item definitely was from the 1800s. So which is it, modern tools or 1800 tools? And of course they're saying it's fake, but fake for what? No one said, didn't have a label on it saying this crystal skull is from 10,000 years ago. So how can someone say it's fake? Who said it's from 10,000 years ago? No one did. So it could actually just be from the 1800s. So how can it be fake if it's actually made at the right time that it was made? Stupid. Crystal skulls are real. Now, my previous video might have confused a few people. I only had a minute to explain, and it's actually quite technical, but very logical, and I don't think anyone else has actually thought of that. So what I'm saying is certain museums, especially the Smithsonian, have been donated as well as purchasing crystal skulls from around the world. Now, the Smithsonian says that there is tool marks that they found, in other words, little scratches. So under a microscope, they believe that it was a particular tool from modern times. However, the skulls that have been donated were from 1850. So straight away, there's a bit of a discrepancy there. So it's not really modern tools, 1850, it's older tools. But the Smithsonian will then say that they're fake, and so will the British Museum, because obviously if someone's made them, then they're fake. But no, that's the point that I'm trying to get at. How can it be fake if someone made something and didn't tell the Smithsonian anything about it? So in other words, the person that would have sold it or gave it to the Smithsonian would have had to have said, this is from Aztec times, in other words, thousands of years before. So the Smithsonian then would have said, aha, no, tool marks, therefore it's not that old, so it's just a mistake, or you lied. How can it be fake? In order for something to be fake, you really need the original. So this isn't a copy. So you see where I'm going with this. It's quite complicated, but the logic here is actually very, very sound, that in order for someone to say something's been debunked, you need proof that either someone lied and said it was ancient, but then you're not really debunking it. You're just saying, okay, the person lied. It's not really a debunk. And fake, you need the original. And of course, there never is an original. So let's have a look here. A scientific study on the skulls revealed that the indent lines marking the teeth were carved using relatively modern rotary tools. Now, I don't know about you, but back in the 1850s, did they really have rotary tools? And even then, it doesn't mean it's fake. It just means it was built. If it was genuinely made in the 1850s, then so be it. It doesn't mean it's fake. And of course, you'll find that there's generally only 1 or 2 skulls in each country. This particular one here, it just goes on to say, the study suggests that the skulls were crafted in Germany in the 19th century. So then we look at what the British Museum says. And it's talking about Germany being famous for manufacturing quartz designs late in the 19th century. So then we look to who would have built that, because there's only one name that keeps coming up, and that's Eugene Baban. And everyone keeps talking about that he built the crystal skulls. But of course, if you do your actual homework, you realise, no, he didn't, and this is in the British Museum right now. So if they thought it was fake, I don't know why fake, because, if I gave you something and said, there you go, you wouldn't look at it and go, it's fake, because it's a one of a kind. So anyway, here we see the British Museum still proudly presenting the crystal skull that they believe is made by a guy in the 1850s, and it was sold through, as you see here, through Tiffany's, etc. So let's have a look now at the guy Eugene. Is there any evidence whatsoever that he actually made crystal skulls? There's no direct evidence. But what Eugene did do is he actually went to... Sorry, I'm just trying to... pre-Columbian cultures. So that's where he found these skulls, you see, these Aztec skulls. So he didn't go back and make them. There's no evidence whatsoever. And of course, if you did sell a skull, you would make more. Think about it. You don't just make one. You make loads if you're selling them. So he found these Aztec skulls when he went there. So he actually generally went to Mesoamerica. And that's where he found them, and then ended up coming back and showing them in Paris. But of course, people said, he made them. But there's no evidence whatsoever. So the point what I'm trying to get at is, do not trust the Smithsonian, do not trust museums, do your own research like I do, and you'll find that the actual people that say that it was carved with tools actually work for either the museums themselves, so deliberately wanting to debunk these, because obviously there's no way people should have made these back then in ancient times.
WhatsApp.
Sorry about
Someone
that.
has sent me WhatsApp.
And the other person that did say that he studied the Hedges skull, which also had lines on it. Bearing in mind, these could be thousands of years old. So if you have a little ding on it or a scratch, so be it. But anyway, the person that actually did look at the Hedges skull turns out to have worked for a university that was funded by the Rockefellers, who also fund the Smithsonian, who also, if you do watch any of my videos, you realise that Rockefellers stroke Smithsonian do not want us to know that certain things are real, such as giants and crystal skulls. So you can take it from me that if the Smithsonian says that these are fake, you know they're real. Noah's Ark's been found. Okay, let's clear this baloney up. No, it's not found where you think it is. It ended up on Mount Ararat, and we've got the evidence to prove that. Now, this guy here is Ivan Finkel, and the boat is not like that because that's why this is baloney. He actually has the original tablet in the British Museum. So forget the Bible, everybody. Listen to this.
On the side, so when you take it home, you can build it on your own.
So he's just waffling on about something else there.
The first piece of information that came out of reading this tablet was that the boat was round.
There you go, round. Okay, so here we have the Atrahasis, where just after the floods happened, the warrior Enlil spotted the boat. Now, this is because he was in a spaceship, everybody. So forget the Bible. So if you scroll back, forget the word myths as well, because we've actually got all the evidence for everything that it says in here. So if you go back, you'll see, look, gathered the people to the catastrophe. You agreed the destruction. This predates the Bible. And yet the Bible copies from it, and people believe the Bible. Seriously. And if you scroll back, you start to see how the torrent for 7 days and 7 nights, not 40 days and 40 nights, if anyone is actually interested in the truth. So let's get rid of all the misconceptions. Now, how do I know it's on Mount Ararat? Because it says so. So let's have a listen here. This is what he's talking about on another tablet about the people finding the Ark.
And on this one here, it says if you go across the river and you climb the mountain, you go the distance across the river, you go up the mountain, you will see something whose wooden blocks are as thick as a parsiktu. Now, the thing is this, in this Atrahasis tablet, when Enki is telling Atrahasis to build the Ark, each time he has done one of the tasks, he says to Enki, I have done what you asked me. And when he cut the ribs, he said, I have cut the ribs as thick as a parsiktu.
I rest my case. So, can we just stop with the Bible now? We have all the evidence we ever need that predates the Bible. We've got the original tablets. We've got the names of the characters. We've got their temples. We've got their carvings. We've got everything. And yet people still want to go on about stuff like that and like that. Forget it. Let's just go with the actual original texts. Can we, please? You won't believe this. Scientists, according to the Sun newspaper, have worked out how the Sphinx was built and why, pretty much. So basically they're saying that wind and rain eroded the material, and then humans then made the Sphinx from what looked like a Sphinx in the first place, which is a load of crap. And I'll tell you why. Because the Sphinx should actually be this high. It's not built on the ground, it's actually built down. So in other words, the wind, etc., would have had to have cut through the rock, gone down this deep, created this funny looking shape, and then humans later on decided, oh yeah, let's excavate the whole of that and make the Sphinx. How freaking stupid are mainstream? It's lower than the ground level. How thick do they think we are? Start following me if you want to actually know the real truth about what's actually happening. God created Earth, but not according to science. And if you can't work this out at the end of the video about aliens, let me know. Is some of the body that collided with Earth to form the moon still recognisable inside our planet? In other words, scientists say that 4.5 billion years ago, there was an impact that hit something that created our moon and smashed into Earth. So this is because we've got, you know, telescopes and everything else. However, in these documents here that predate telescope by thousands of years, written in the ancient language, telling us that 4.5 billion years ago there was a planet called Nibiru, which is the Anunnaki's home planet, and its moons came round and smashed into a planet called Tiamat. However, these guys here said it was Thea, down the bottom there. So, ancient tablets that tell us, come on guys, aliens for sure. Our father who art in a ditch. Now, this would have been a carving that's recently been found of Enki, with the head there of our creator. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please look it up. We've got the evidence to show that he did create us Homo sapiens with the fused chromosomes. So this was recently found in Iraq, which is where the Anunnaki were, so that's fine. However, they seem to be making a big song and dance over this. Yes, it's massive, but we already have these in the British Museum, so we know it's Enki. Enki has the turban. Now, a lot of people do get mixed up. See, there's Enki again with a turban. Turban, that's where turbans come from. However, look here and you will see the same carving, but someone's wrote Enlil. They have no idea. So it's probably best to follow me if you want the actual proper evidence and truth, etc. And here, that was Ninurta. And look, this person here's wrote Enlil. So really, you wanna start following me. Breaking news, hidden chambers found in a crumbling pyramid. Hang on, this will make you laugh, trust me. So, Egyptologist Mohammed Ismail has said that the rooms, which are pretty much looking like that, were meant to hold burial objects belonging to royal rulers. So, how many pyramids have ever had any artifacts like that? None. So I asked ChatGPT, hang on, it gets better. Name one pyramid that had any artifacts, and it says that the pyramid of Khufu would have had artifacts, even though there's none in there. And look, its contents, there was no contents whatsoever, and a sarcophagus. So that lied, obviously, because there was none. So this is what was inside the Great Pyramid that they seem to think was a burial chamber, and that's a sarcophagus. However, when you actually look inside a real tomb, a proper tomb, not a pyramid, that's what you see. Breaking news, a pyramid in Indonesia has been found that could be 27,000 years old. Bearing in mind 10 to 12,000, we was hunter-gatherers. So when you actually look at this pyramid there, I don't know if you can see it, and it's got these sort of rectangular blocks that makes it look like it's man-made. So they've been doing carbon dating, etc. So this is amazing, this pyramid. They think that inside this pyramid there might be rooms and chambers and all sorts of stuff. However, there's always a catch. This is in the same article. It's worth flagging that there is controversy over whether this site involves human-made structures or a pyramid at all. So they tell us all this stuff about this pyramid and what's inside it in the radiocarbon dating, and they don't even know if it's man-made. So follow me, because I won't lie to you like these people. Crystal skulls, a little bit of information for you. The Smithsonian has this one here on show, and yet they say it's fake. And the British Museum has this one on show, and yet they say it's fake. I don't know about you, I always thought that the museums would show real things as opposed to fake things, because I could knock up anything and go and take it to them. And anyway, the most important part is to show you how you don't trust what they say. So Dr. Jane Walsh is one of the people that has studied these crystal skulls, and this is what she says in the Washington Post. She says here, Walsh has been working with the crystal skulls for more than a decade, trying to debunk myths about these fascinating relics, trying to debunk them. Now, I don't know about you, but any researcher should let the evidence take them, not start with a biased opinion. And this is what that person's done for the Smithsonian. She works for the Smithsonian. What does Dr. Stephen Greer say about aliens building the pyramids?
Well, honestly, I don't necessarily think that there were ETs that made them.
Right, now hang on, hold on, listen to this.
The man I referred to earlier from Redstone Arsenal area, who is given material occasionally, is not always extraterrestrial. He has been given objects that are tens of thousands of years old or older, that are technological, that have been found in the ocean and elsewhere, that were of human origin.
Okay, so he says human origin. So unless it actually says made by a human, how does he know? I love Stephen Greer to pieces, but he should stay out of the ancient alien theories and stick with the modern ones. How does he know? How would you know? If you found ancient technology, how would you know it's human-made, not alien? Hi, I'd like to know your thoughts on the end of this, so just keep watching for a sec.
Holographic in nature. So what scientists did was they did an experiment called the double slit experiment, where they put two little tiny microscopic slits and they put photons on the back, and they shot these photons through these slits. But when they weren't looking, the photon created a wave pattern on the back wall of this experiment. So they said, why? How can this be? How can individual photons create a wave pattern? So they went back and put a looking device, a camera, to see how the photons were going through these slits to create a wave pattern. They wanted to know how that could be. But when they did that, when they looked, it created a digital pattern on the back wall. So all of a sudden, it was a wow moment. The actual prospect of looking, in other words, conscious intervention, can change matter, can change the shape of the...
So he says conscious, whereas that was actually a device, an electronic device that's now close enough to these atoms to be able to detect them. So what I'm saying is, he's saying it's complicated. What I'm saying is, because that's now been added to the equation, it's changed the parameters. Not because it's being watched, but because it's obviously given off electrical because it's powered. So I think my opinion, I think the scientists are a bit flawed there, because as soon as you add something extra to the equation, such as a powered camera, then your experiments changed from the first time you did it, because it wasn't there. And so therefore, I don't think, unless I'm wrong, I don't think that by observing something it changes it. I think by adding something it changed it. What do you think? Am I right or am I wrong? Which ancient alien researchers can you trust? This is David Childress. Have a listen and then I'll explain why he's wrong. So there's only seems to be me left that gets everything right.
In Sumeria, you have these very curious stories of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were half god, half man, who came down from the stars. They were instructing the Sumerians in various arts of civilization. They were very strange looking. They had elongated heads. They looked almost like insect type people, or what they call reptilian features in a sense, or a viper visage, as the Watchers were called in the Bible.
Okay, so he's gone by this one statue. There's two of these that's out there that seems to have some sort of squashed face, etc. And when you actually look at the Sumerian gods, they look like us because we're in their image. Now, that does not look like that. That is what David Icke had said was the Anunnaki, a reptilian. However, there's only two of these, and yet there are thousands of these with them looking like us humans. Thousands, except the fact that they were 8 to 12 foot tall. But yeah, so I don't know why There's no evidence whatsoever that these are reptilian. The Anunnaki were reptilian. None whatsoever, other than this unfortunate carving that seems to have been, squished or whatever happened to it. Zachariah Sitchin said that this was actually supposed to be a female, and the clay got squashed when they was making it, and this was a hairdo. He says it was Ishtar. But look, I mean, ancient aliens, otherworldly magic, yes. So I don't know. Maybe just follow me. It's probably easier than listening to everyone else. I mean, you take your pick. Two of these, or thousands of these, with no description whatsoever of them being reptilian or even having elongated skulls. Yes, there's elongated skulls. Watch my other videos. But when you actually do the research, and originally I did fall for it. I fell for what these researchers were saying, that they had elongated skulls, and I thought, elongated skulls underneath the turbans, but no, they don't cut their hair. But I only learned that through research, so it's up to you if you want to believe researchers like David Childress. I'm not knocking him. Normally he's good, but I can't believe he's fell for this. I would like David to show me evidence, not just 1-2 carvings out of thousands of these ones where they're actually just normal looking characters. Anyway, enough moaning now.